Hi, everyone.
Good morning. Hi.
Mhm. Welcome to Discovering You, Your Own Uniqueness, powered by Strong on Purpose.
So excited to be here. I'm so glad that everybody's joining us here. We're going to be looking at our physicality, our mentally and emotional and spiritual health.
Sorry, I couldn't get it to move.
Technology.
Okay. So, we just wanted to introduce ourselves really quick, and I'll let you know who's speaking to you today. But the other thing is, your life is going to consist of many reinventions, and enjoying those to the fullest. Nothing is a waste of your time. Everything you're doing today is going to fuel your life tomorrow. And my name is Coach Corinne Roberts. I'm a former transformation studio owner and personal trainer. And a part of my human becoming has taken me to medical wellness and becoming a genetic health coach, Institute of Integrative Nutrition, health coach specializing in gut health and hormone health. And as of 2020, Enneagram coaching, which has created another layer. And I own Live Out Loud Wellness.
So, and my name's Linda Dean Hatz. And when I think about where I came from, my background really was my goal kind of was to be a mom. And so being a mom and then went into school social work counseling, mainly so that I could have a calendar where I could stay with my kids. But then as I was growing and my transformation really led me to, again, a more holistic approach to mental wellness. And so I now own my own private practice and I have an IIN, health and wellness coaching. I do some life coaching as well. And then through Nutrimetrics, I am considered a health professional. And within that, again, that's really helped me dig into taking a more holistic approach to our mental wellness. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to know that the synergy between our physical wellness, our digestive and our brain health leads to good emotional wellness. So I'm really excited to be here and present with this program.
Yes, I'm excited too. So, discovering you, your own uniqueness. We are going to be going through meeting yourself where you are, a whole person health. And as Linda already said, our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health are all connected. We're going to break them apart a little and go over each one individually, but just know they're all connected in your whole person health. So, just starting off each segment, we're going to start off with a quote. And this whole person health quote is knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. I love that quote.
Yeah. So discovering you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take you through a journey. Okay, and your journey, each one of us is so individual. We're going to be looking at a whole person health, honoring who you are right now, where you are, where do you want to go, and then we're going to take that right up to then, like, do I want to take a more holistic approach to my health, whole health? What's my mindset? What are my habits? And these are always ongoing, and we always have the opportunity to change and grow within that as how they serve us. And within that, and I think that Corinne and I have both talked about how individual this program, each one of us has our own person, and we make our own decisions and our choices. And what we started as needing can change throughout our life. And it may work for me. What may work for me might not work for Coach Corinne. And so never feel like there's a right or wrong answer here. This is about what feels right for you and what kind of your inner core is speaking to you for. Again, and even within that, the multidimensional piece of this, that all of our health is connected. The synergy between each one of these, if my mental health is down, there's a good chance my physical health is down. If my physical health is improving, there's a good chance that my brain health and my emotional wellness is also improving. And then how do we take that and make it a shift and make it into a lifestyle versus, oh, this is just a 6-week program. This is more than just a 6-week program. This is about our lives. And just even tiny shifts can make such a big impact and in the creating of habits that keeps us moving forward.
I love that, Linda. So our whole person health inventories, these inventories that are in our whole person health guide that you should have, this guide to start your journey as a workbook, and this is a workshop. So use these inventories to check in with where you are with the 4 pillars of whole person health. And the goal isn't to get a perfect score. I know some of us have a little competition even with ourselves sometimes, but it's just really having awareness and understanding of yourself and what is pulling you and drawing you in, right? What are you interested in working on? Because as Linda said, everything is going to rise as you work on individual things in your life. So it's to help you prioritize your health goals, which are going to shift over time. And so what we want you to do when you read the segments, and Linda's going to cue you and pausing as well on each segment to fill it out. So you're going to rate it 1 through 5 each statement, and just don't overthink it, and then just mark down how you feel about the statement. And then at the bottom of the page, you're going to write down your 2 highest scoring ones in the circles, and then your 2 lowest scoring ones in the squares. So starting with physical health, this is where you can pause and go to your physical health segment and rate those statements from 1 to 5 right now, and then continue on. So here is a physical health quote: teaching people how to eat, sleep, and move better is the key to optimal health and quality of life. So starting with our nutrition, food is fuel. We actually inherit 25,000 genes when we're conceived that become our microbiome. And we are actually only 10% human. So as we input food into our body, it interacts with our genes and changes them and their expression. So what I tell people when I'm doing their genetic testing is your genes are just your GPS, they don't change, but you can change the expression through different things, through what you eat. So your genes are not your destination, they're just more information for you to make quality decisions for your life. Nutrient density, that's the amount of nutrients in a food. So we really focus on eating nutrient dense foods, which are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And treats are treats. Those fit in there as well, but we're not going to forego our nutrients for that because each nutrient, carbohydrates are energy, fats help your brain and joints and body, proteins, every cell of your body for repair and rebuilding. Even when you're sick, you need more protein. And then inflammation. I know people look at inflammation as something negative, but it's actually your body's defense mechanism for your immune system, which 70 to 80% of your immune system is found in your gut. That's where we start with gut health, making sure that people are actually absorbing the nutrients that they're eating. And inflammation actually provides protection from anything that might harm your body, including chemicals, injuries, pathogens, viruses, things like that. So then getting into our circadian ultradian rhythms. I know a lot of people have heard of circadian rhythms. That's our inner clock. Our body wants consistency. So waking up at the same time every day and going to bed the same time every night is part of that circadian rhythm, which I know some of you have jobs and work schedules that don't allow you to be able to do that. And just know that you need to put your physical health up on a higher pedestal because of that lack of sleep and consistency. So you might want to have a little more awareness on that. So, going out and getting 10 minutes of bright light in the morning. I know some of you live in places that are dark parts of the year, but that is very helpful and you're going to sleep better at night. It's like waking up your body, right? And then also, I know a lot of people are used to pouring their coffee in, first thing when their feet hit the floor. And I'm going to recommend that you delay your caffeine intake for 60 to 90 minutes so you can let your natural cortisol, which people think of cortisol as the stress hormone, but it actually gives you energy. It should be high in the morning, taper down, and so your melatonin kicks in at night. Um, so if you can delay that, so your cortisol will switch on in the morning. Some of you are switching it off, telling your body it doesn't need it by pouring stimulant energy into your body. So then getting into our ultradian, our wake rest cycles that happen repeatedly throughout the day. So every couple hours, if you can, I know everyone's used to like pushing through so I can get to my lunch or push through so I can get out of work, but it's really more beneficial to your body for you to take rests every couple hours. Even get up and stretch your body. And just move a little bit. You don't have to, even just for 5 or 10 minutes. Some of you don't have scheduled breaks in your day, but stand up and get your blood flowing to your brain and body. So because pushing through actually takes away from your body, it can cause irritation, anxiety, cravings, weakened immune system, and inflammation. So healthy sleep cycles, again, people think, I work with a lot of menopausal women even, and they think, well, I'm menopausal, I'm not going to sleep well anymore. That's not okay. We can really focus on our sleep hygiene and put some things in place around you, like having your bedroom cool, having it dark, a good pillow, turning your phone off a couple hours before you go to bed, preparing yourself for sleep. Don't just think you're going to go in, my bedtime's at 10 o'clock, and that your body's just going to say, okay. That doesn't always happen. Exercise helps that as well. But also shutting down our brains, right? So write down things that cause anxiety so you can sleep, or something comes up I have to do tomorrow and now you're thinking about it all night, and you're afraid you're going to forget it. Just have a little notepad next to your bed, maybe do some breathing techniques, um, and then movement. Sleep pressure builds up during the day. That's actually called adenosine. Um, and there's also non-exercise. It's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So those are all the things you're doing: folding your laundry, going up and down the stairs, and things like that. That all counts as your movement. And then there's aerobic activities, which could be, running, jogging, walking fast. Sometimes we call this zone 2, and that really gets your endorphins going and boosts your hormones, and it supports your metabolism. So a lot of times you've heard of runner's high, right? There actually is, there's hormones attached to that, but we don't want to be doing that every day. We're training, right? We need all sorts of activity, strength training, stretching, and then temperature modulation. A lot of people are doing the cold plunges, you see, right? But warm and cold, our body really doesn't want to stay in the same temperature environment we're like teaching it. So if we do some extremes here and there, a cold shower, a sauna, things like that, that's very helpful to our bodies as well.
Corinne, I really loved some of the things that you were saying there. And I think one of my biggest takeaways is that our genes are not our destination, and that when we realize that, again, it puts us, what gives us a sense of control in knowing that things that I can do that can make a bigger impact on my wellness. So thank you for that. And here, so we're going to move forward and kind of like, how do we put it into place into our daily lives? And so these are some fun things, ways that you can look at how you can add this into your life. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. And so when you think about a linchpin habit, what makes you feel great? What's the thing that lights you up physically? What puts you in motion? What's one habit that you could start today, tomorrow, and that you could move forward with that? And then you can start building. Is it eating healthy? Is it moving more? Is it going up and down the stairs 3 or 4 more times a day than you typically do? How are you hydrating? What is your quality of sleep? Can you put your phone down, 45 minutes earlier than what you are currently? So that's something that you can try out very easily. When we think about nutrition, is our nutrition dense? Do we have, is what we're getting, is it fueling our body or is it taking away from our body? You hear people will say like, oh, it's the candy bar, same calories as, 4 ounces of chicken. Where's the nutrition coming from? And so I want you to look at possibly like half a plate of protein, half a plate of vegetables, and then getting good fats to fuel your gut, your body, and your brain for energy. Hydrate, making sure that you're getting enough water throughout the day. And a great resource that you have at your hands is the TLS website to learn more. So make sure you're checking that out. So there's another thing that you can try out. Like I'm going to go to the TLS website and try a new recipe. One of my favorite things from a mental health perspective, and also physical, where Corinne was talking about the hormones, is the circadian ultradian. First thing in the morning, as soon as you can, to get outside for at least 10 minutes, particularly if you're moving forward, is a great habit to get into. Delaying our caffeine for natural cortisol. Again, from a mental health perspective, I'm going to say, if you're experiencing a lot of anxiety, that caffeine's going to just jack it up more. From a physical sense, you're blocking your natural cortisol from being able to move in its own pace. What's our wake rest? Setting reminders on our phones. We've all got great phones with great prompts. Could you take a break, a couple times during the day, a movement break, and just get out and do some stretches, and go for a quick walk, shut your door, turn off your computer, and just take a 15-minute break. Sleep. Again, I love what we're talking about. What's the temperature of my room at nighttime? If we can keep things a little bit cooler so our body can then come down to a temperature that we sleep better, go into a deeper sleep, relax with meditation, putting our phone on airplane mode, taking 10-second showers in the morning. Like if you're taking a hot shower in the morning, that lasts a few seconds, and turn the water to as cold as you can. That will be a great way to kind of shift that and shift hormones so that you can feel better and more energy. Again, exercise is a great way to support our physical health. 3 sets of 20-20-20 daily squats, sit-ups, and push-ups is a great addition. Doesn't take but a couple of minutes to do that. Get a class pass. Try out different classes that you've always wanted to. If you wanted to try Pilates or yoga, can you meet a friend there to kind of build in the accountability? Make a new friend and say, hey, let's keep this up. So I love some of these tips, and think about which ones you can be adding into your day.
Me too.
So mental health inventory. So now what we're going to do is kind of step into the next phase. So again, I want you to think of this kind of as a bridge. We've started with our physical, we've got a great base. So now we're moving up and we're going to strengthen that base through our mental health inventory. We're going to think about the awareness of ourselves. Are we accepting ourselves, and what type of compassion are we showing to ourselves? Mental health quote, a good laugh, a hug, and a long sleep are the best cures in the doctor's book. I love this. Think about our relationships. So within the inventory, okay, we're going to break this down again to 3. Awareness. What are your thoughts? What's your brain saying to you? What are your beliefs and your values? What mindset are you practicing? Can you shift that alone? Nobody else has control over that. You do. And so if I can take a shift in how I'm talking to myself, you're the only one that gets to decide that. Question the stories that you're telling yourself. One of the things that I talk to a lot about with my clients is, I'll call it ruminating thoughts. Those just circle around in my head and I get stuck, and those thoughts can paralyze me, and then I'm stuck for the day. How can you reset those? And I have a lot of strategies if anybody's ever interested in learning more about that. Stress is a mind body, okay? It's in my mind, but then I also feel it in my body. How is my body alerting me? Where do I feel it in my body? What are signs that say, oh, I've got to stop and take a breath right here? I know that in we put out some different breath work strategies. Pick which one's best for you, and so that you can kind of bring that stress level down, so where you're feeling more of a balance. When we talk about acceptance, and here I think is a tricky one for people, because this really is connected to our self-esteem. How do we recognize the stress in our body, and how do we regulate that? Like what's my body telling me? How am I going to slow down? Accepting the feelings. I can't push them away. I can't ignore them or stuff them down. I feel them, okay? And then what I'll do is then decide what I'm gonna do with those feelings. Balance of being overly aware and being disconnected. Again, I can be so hyper vigilant about what I'm feeling, or I can be completely disconnected. Where's the balance in that? Our bodies are valuable tools. Our nervous system gives us a lot of indications of what's going on for us. And if I'm afraid of those feelings, if I'm afraid of learning what that's about, how do I, if I say it out loud and I start practicing this, that fear can go away. And within that, this all builds up into like compassion. How am I offering myself grace? How am I nurturing myself? How am I balancing mental rest versus mental activity? Giving my brain time to slow down, to be more creative. Again, when we think about what lights me up, what things are going to help me feel rested and relaxed and staying away from a burnout place. Different ways that you can think about doing this. Am I going to journal? Am I making art or music? Discharging stress. How do you reset your nervous system? Then we have all kinds of strategies that you can reach out to us for. Connecting. And this, again, connection to myself. How do I know myself? But then connecting with other people. Laughing, cuddling, hugging. And if I'm taking care of myself, going for a massage, if I have a partner, massaging one another. All of those create hormones, oxytocin and dopamine, serotonin, that are all about feeling good and feeling balanced and safe within our own personal life. And compassion is the desire to eliminate suffering through love. And I want you to think about self-love and loving others.
I love all of those, Linda. So let's do a mental try it out. So mindset habits, make a list of your frequent thoughts, beliefs, and values. What limiting stories are you telling yourself now? We all have stories going on in our minds, and a lot of times we're the the greatest one holding ourselves back through the stories we're telling ourselves. So rewrite your thoughts as stories of resilience that support and empower you. Sometimes we call this reframing things, right? So reframe things, what you perceive as failing to growing and learning instead. And reframing is an amazing tool. So stress in the mind, make a list of things you constantly feel stress about: work, school, relationships. And how do you, we always talk about responding instead of reacting to things. So what things are you reacting on? And maybe we can, put some more awareness on that, and take a breath, move back, take a breath, and start responding to things. Give yourself those little breaks. So when something strikes you or hits you in a way, instead of just, not having a filter, sometimes if we just give ourselves a little bit of space, which is self-care, to think about it a little bit, and before we respond to something happening to us. So then discharging stress, uh, um, let it out physically. They even have studies with anxiety and physical movement, that getting physical exercise in. I actually figured that out the hard way years ago in my 20s, because I didn't have all of these studies and things to read. But when I found exercise, it really, maybe I wasn't working through it through therapy, but I was able to discharge the stress, which took my stress levels down physically, until I was able to mentally, be able to go in and through talk therapy, deal with that in a better way. I always was journaling my thoughts, get it out of your head. Linda talked about the ruminating that we do sometimes in our head, and just, drawing, talking to someone, whether it's a therapist or a trusted friend or mentor, right? And just getting some things out and processing them a little bit, and journaling and expressing how you feel in direct ways. I was always like passive aggressive, I guess. I thought, I wasn't direct. I don't know what I was afraid of getting back, but, people just, the more clear we are, the more clear people are with us, right? So, and that takes away stress when people aren't always guessing and you aren't always guessing. If something is in my head and I think someone feels a certain way, about something, I always try to just clarify it, right? So I can get it out of my mental space. And then compassion and self-love. Take time for yourself. Go to therapy if you need to talk about something you feel is holding you back from experiencing joy in your life. And learn new strategies and ways to manage stress. And, Linda and I sometimes talk about as well, like managing our joy and stress, right? So when we want to have extreme highs, sometimes those extreme lows can go with it, and know that's going to happen, and be okay with it. It's okay to feel, which we're going to be cycling into in this next segment, the feeling, after you're processing this all through your head mentally, right, Linda?
Right. So again, you're going to take a pause and kind of evaluate your emotional health. So like, again, now we're stepping right into our feelings. Okay, this is the top of it. And so, how are we connecting to our feelings, managing and expressing our feelings, and developing a resiliency? So take a moment, and then here's our quote for this: "We have to love and care for ourselves first. That's the fuel that gives us the ability to really, freely, without conditions, love other people." Again, so here's our inventory. So think about, how am I connecting to my emotions? Again, I think that people can get stuck in their feelings and their emotions, and we can just like, that totally drives what the decisions we're making. And some people are like, stuffed their emotions so deep inside that they're going purely from a thinking perspective. Well, I want you to balance both. What are my thoughts, the mental health? What are my emotions? And within the center of that, what I would call is your wise mind, or the core. What are your core values? What drives you? Um, and if you take the time to process these feelings, you can make a different decision. It gives you that moment to take a breath, slow down, and make a decision that you want to, that gives you more control over your destination of where you want to be. I think that, again, that like we can go to a place of really unconscious, just impulsive acting. And I think people feel either one, frustrated with themselves because they don't understand that. But if you slow that down, and again, that the breath work again will impact the hormones to bring that cortisol down, that gives me a moment to, oh, this is what I'm feeling, and particularly if I'm journaling that and being able to say out loud, this is my feeling, automatically brings that stress level down because you've said it out loud. It's not a secret anymore. Be curious about your emotions. Your emotions are, all they are is information. They're not good, they're not bad. Throughout our day, we go through a wide range of feelings. Be curious, know what they are. I think, again, they're our friends. It gives us information as to what we want in our lives. From there, how do we manage that? I think our emotions can create truths. You have control over that. You can change a thought and a feeling, and you can then say, what is it that I want to feel? And how do I create a new truth around that? Am I letting that block my life? Are my feelings keeping me stuck in daily decisions? Or am I allowing that to flow and to honor what's going on in my body? One of the techniques that's listed here is it's actually a very fascinating. And if you can take the time to do that, and you actually sit down with a chair in front of you and say you're really struggling with a particular feeling, sit down and talk to that feeling. What's that feeling trying to tell you? What information can you gather from that? And what direction do you want to go in? What support do you need? How do I ask for what I need? And our feelings give you all that information. One of the things that I probably see people struggle with the most is resiliency. Okay, I think that people get really fragile when they think that they're going to feel these feelings and they don't want to. How can I hold that? And again, our emotions, if I'm balancing my emotions with my mental wellness and my physical wellness, I then develop a different level of resiliency that allows me to navigate and walk through my day. Just because we've done something every day in our past does not mean that we have to do it the same tomorrow, the same the next minute. It's just like a muscle. You get to train that, and it takes practice. Talking about our feelings, it takes practice. Examining our feelings takes practice. It's a muscle. Develop that for yourself. Mindset has a lot to do with it. Glass half full, glass half empty, glass overflowing. All of that can be very empowering. Look at that, evaluate where you're at. Can you take a joyful perspective around your emotions? Can you see change as something that offers you a new opportunity to experience new feelings and new emotions? It's a silver lining in a hardship, and use it as an opportunity for transformation.
Mhm. I love all that. So much to unpack there, Linda.
It really is, yeah.
We are at our emotional try it out. So all the feelings. So, that can feel overwhelming at some points, especially I'm a head thinker in the head triad. So when all the feelings come in, it can be overwhelming. But, like Linda was saying, your emotions are your friends. So, and they're, some of them are protecting you, right? and some are parenting you. Name your emotions, treat your emotions like friends, not enemies. Check in with them like you would check in on a friend, right? And call, text, or sit down and have a chat with them, right? And then new perspectives. And that's really what Linda was speaking about. Just because we were running on this track, this hamster wheel sometimes that we do of the same, responding to things in the same way, step outside of yourself. And that's where that empty chair was coming in, right? Stepping outside of yourself and away from whatever challenge, obstacle, stressor, because when we're in the feelings, sometimes it's hard to look at things from the outside in, right? What would you say to a best friend, right? If your best friend came up to you and told you a story, the same story that you're going through, what advice would you give them? Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves when we get into situations, and if we could just only learn to become our own best friends, right? So awfulize your challenges. Write down what the worst thing that can happen if you step out of your comfort zone or take a risk. That's awfulizing it. But I love how Linda always says, what's the best thing that can happen to you, right? Because we are dealing with these extremes on one side or the other, right? Highs and lows, right? So, what's the best thing that can happen if you step outside of your comfort zone and take a risk, right? So, those are, just great ways to look at things, looking at both sides of things, because I think sometimes we get caught up in one side. Internal family systems is a great therapy strategies on, who's running the show inside of you and what do you think their purposes are. So, in certain situations, some feelings and emotions, triggers, things like that can show up in your life, right? Over and over again, whether you like them or not. Some of them you like, that might defend you if you're feeling um, insecure about something, right? But maybe anger comes up more than you want it to in certain situations, it triggers situations. Really looking at those and figuring out why this comes up over and over again. Like for me, I would say a word that always tended to come up for me in therapy was guilt. I always felt guilty. I felt guilty that I couldn't spend enough time with my daughter. So I say couldn't, but the guilt came from that I was choosing. So by making some shifts in my life, I was able to, and here's what my therapist said to me that I loved was because I thought it was normal to feel guilty every day. And he said, well, that's funny that you think that's normal. Do you feel jealous every day? Do you feel, he kept naming emotions. Are you angry every day? And I was like, no, I'm not, then why do you think feeling guilty every day is normal? It was for me, but that doesn't mean that it's normal. It's just something I had to step into and see why it was showing up so much in my life, right? So we can tell our inner parts that they're welcome there to stay at the table. We don't have to shun them and say they're bad, that anger's bad or anything, right? We can tell them you can stay at the table, but I got this. I got this. I'm strong enough. And maybe, that part was coming out a lot at a different stage in your life, right? That you needed that protection from it, but you've grown and you don't need it to show up all the time, but it still is, right? So, and like we said earlier, you can name these different things. So, worry was another thing of mine, the inner critic, right? So, nightly gratitude, naming something you're grateful for, even every morning and every night, right? So, even during a bad day, when you feel like nothing went right, you can find bits of gratitude, things to be grateful for in every day. And nothing's better than a good night's sleep. A day is a day. And it can turn into another day, but mostly we get a new fresh start and perspective the next day. So instead of trying to solve your problems of the world on a day when you're feeling highly emotional, maybe just get a good night's sleep, right? And have some gratitude for some things. And this is going to make you more mindful every day.
And I love that. And you did a beautiful job just explaining some of the things that we can do every day to help manage our emotional wellness. So now we're moving on to our spiritual health. This is about our connection to ourselves and to the world, okay? Accepting integration and a sense of purpose. Who are we within this world and within our life? Again, so take some time to pause, rate yourselves in some of these areas, and then we'll move on. Our spiritual health. Spiritual health is the path to inner peace, regardless of the turmoil you have going on around you. Our inventory. Connection. What's our belief in connection that connects us to our world? Is there something greater and bigger than us that keeps us grounded every day, that gives us a purpose where we're moving forward? Synchronicity, I love that word. The idea that things keep us connected to each other, to this world, the relationships that we develop. It gives us a meaning and a purpose that just it's at the core of us. And then what's my identity within that? There are so many layers to each one of us. Again, if we even go through this whole program, physically, our mental wellness, the layers of our emotional health, our spiritual layers, being connected to that within myself, being aware of that, being mindful of that I can serve that. And then again, the collective energy, when I take that and then I pair up with other people, of like-minded people, that energy creates an atmosphere of compassion and nurturing and love that allows us to access our lives in a different way than we might be. How do we accept and integrate our faith and our trust that I'm going to be taken care of, that there's a greater power, that I can trust that I am safe where I am at? Our spiritual identity is such a bio-individual piece to us. Like each one of us is going to practice differently. What's our health, our gender, our finances, our career? Where do we live? All of that impacts our family, the family that we're born into and the family that we create around us. Our relationships shape us, the choices that we make and how we participate in those relationships. Am I in reciprocal relationships, balanced? And do I need to make some adjustments there? Sometimes we suffer because we're not sure who we are. But, again, that not being curious and being confused at like what's going on around me. Slow down, take a breath. What is it that lights me up? What brings me joy? So that I can then take a deeper dive into knowing who I am. And when I do that, it's going to give me a sense of purpose. Okay, because I can then share those gifts of myself with other people. That intersection between my own spirituality and the friendships and the relationships that I have, it's going to manifest, and it's going to show on our faces. It's going to show in our actions. It's going to show in our physical health. Viewing purpose, our purpose is a healthy mix of something that I'm good at, and then things that maybe I can take a risk at. What am I willing to develop? What do I want to try? Are there other things that I want to grow in? Is it about learning something new? Is it about stepping out and making really friendships when I might feel a little bit shy or more introverted? That purpose gives me a drive to move forward in my life. And within that, each one of us has the power to make our own meaning. We get to define what our life looks like. we get to share our gifts that we have in each one of us with one another. And it creates a life experience that is a journey rather than a destination. And so how do I want to go on that journey? Am I taking joy with me? Am I practicing smiling throughout the day? Am I making eye contact with people? That's a part of our spirituality, that connection. What are you wanting for yourself? What do you want to do to go forward in your life?
I love all that, Linda. Our life is such a journey. So, going into our spiritual, try it out. So, creating a spiritual vision board. So, what does spirituality mean to you, right? There's all different layers. And I know Linda was speaking about sometimes we take on our family's beliefs, and we call that tribal, right? That's actually our lowest chakra, is our tribal, what we've been taught. But then we get to develop ourselves and have a greater understandings for ourself as ourself, right? Not part of that tribe, because we are unique and individual. As we say, your own uniqueness. So what does having a sense of purpose mean to you? What gives you that feeling of purpose in your life? And they really say that a lot of uh, you know, just not feeling a drive in our life a lot of times is a lack of purpose, right? That comes from a lack of purpose. When we have something that's getting us up every day, that we're excited about, that's purpose, right? So, what beliefs help you get through tough times? So, where is that rainbow on the other side of hardships? Because as we've been saying throughout this, we're going to have both joy and pain, right? So, what helps you gain a bigger perspective when you do feel stuck? And what's most important to you in your life? So, taking the time to create this vision board for yourself, whether it's words or pictures, everyone's different in what they're attracted to, or a combination of both. And why are we here? And what are we doing here? How many times have you asked yourself that? There's been so many points in my life where I'm like, what is this all about? Why am I here? Right? So, when did you feel most connected? How do you regain connection in your life if you have gotten lost and feel more isolated, right? So, do you tend to lean on more pillars of health than others? I do. I lean more on the physical and the mental. So really stepping into that emotional, but seeing that for yourself, so we can create a more balance in our lives. And that might be the missing link, where we think because we're used to what we go to instinctually, right? Maybe go away from that and try something that makes you feel uncomfortable, like we've been speaking about. Like, emotions make me feel a little more uncomfortable, right? So are you going to start with physical or mental strategies? And when have you felt connection to your purpose? That's a great question that I love. Connecting to your purpose. So maybe you don't know how to begin that process, right? So let's talk about 3 steps to purpose. What are 3 things that you're good at? Let's start there. What are 3 things you wish to study for a year to develop? What things are you drawn to? Is it playing a musical instrument, right? Maybe you wanted to in high school, but once we're an adult, we're like, oh, I can't take piano lessons. Well, you can. You can take guitar lessons. Whatever things those are. What things do you want to study, right? What are 3 ways to support others around you? So sometimes taking it off from ourselves and putting our efforts on to other things, maybe give back, but find something you have passion about. I've found that even through like physical abuse and things like that, I'm always drawn to once I've gotten myself into, better emotional, like I'm drawn to helping women become more confident, right? and more empowered, right? So think creatively and think about things you've been through in your life that you've struggled with and overcome. That's a lot of times a way to your purpose. So fueling your purpose. So which things on your list are you most excited about? What makes you excited? Because as we went through with the emotional segment, emotions drive action. So what are you excited about? What are you already doing? You could already be doing some things that you're passionate about and maybe developing them more and stepping into them a little bit more. And that's a lot of people are all in or all out on things. It's okay to dip your toe in the water with things and try new things out, right? And do any of these things overlap and connect? So you can just develop them in a deeper way. So creating small action steps to practice three things that you want to develop. I love the Enneagram. Once I took it, I've been to a lot of talk therapy, and it really is. It's not just, I know people think of it as a personality test, but it really helps you understand yourself and others better. First yourself, then others. And it talks about your core longings, your core fears, your core desires. So maybe take the Enneagram test. We can send you one if you want to reach out and do a typing consultation, right? And then where do you want to go from here? Which pillar feels most impactful to you right now? What is one step you can take this week to work towards your goal? And do you have anything else to add, Lenny?
I think again, all of this, your presentation was beautiful. I think it's all about what you want, each one of us wants to try. I think again, kind of the individuality, thinking about where we want to be in our lives, what direction, what path do we want to be on.
Hmm. I love that. So we really want to congratulate all of you for coming on and taking the time to invest in yourself. No one can ever take that away from you. Understanding yourself better and learning about these four pillars for yourself is an invaluable practice, I feel.
I would agree. Again, as Corinne said, thank you so much for being here. It's a real honor to be working with you. And so exciting to be on this next step of your journey. Like when you finish the kind of the evaluation, where do you want to work on? Reach out to any one of us, any one of your coaches, and let's take that next step.
Hmm. And just practice the strategies because not everything comes naturally to us as we've been going through because it's different, right? We tend to fall back into our patterns because we all do have patterns. I call it a hamster wheel sometimes, but it really is a pattern. So we do have to um, integrate and learn new things and bring these strategies in to make positive changes in our life and remove the obstacles and set those small goals so things aren't overwhelming. We are all carrying and balancing a lot of different balls in our lives. So creating small goals, small movements lead to big movements in our lives, right?
And be gentle with yourself. I think again, both Corinne and I love the word nurturing ourselves, and being gentle, offer compassion to ourselves going through this because we are going to bump into things. We are going to bump into difficult emotions. We are going to bump into physical challenges. And it really, again, when we come back to where's our resiliency at and how do we practice that? It's a muscle, it's a skill. It's not, we aren't born with that. It's something that we really have to practice. So be kind to yourself throughout this.
I love that. And as Linda always says, our journeys never end. We are
Mm.
constantly growing and learning. We're human becomings. So, embrace this one precious life that you have, as Mary Oliver says, right? And this is what's going to promote these long-lasting habits and shifts and changes, and are becoming what we want to fuel our passion and purpose in life. And we want to thank you all for coming. We know your time is precious. And please reach out to us. We don't take it lightly that you have allowed us to be your whole health mentors. We really appreciate your trust in us. And we're always here for questions and strategies, and really use your workbook. And don't forget to be strong on purpose, right, Linda?
Right, exactly. Thank you so much.
Yes. Have a great day.
Bye.